Hey, it's producer Mark at KCMO Talk Radio, and if you're an NFL or college football fan, check out my weekly sports betting podcasts. Search College Pick'em Program or Sunday Sharps wherever you get your podcasts, and hit that subscribe button for my weekly picks, including the Chiefs, Mizzou, Kansas, and K-State. Now here's the Monday in the Morning podcast.
I am proud to be broadcasting this morning from the newest swing state ahead of the upcoming election. That's right. Good morning. It is great to be here on KCMO Talk Radio, 95.7 FM. I'm trying to say it with a straight face, but Mark just started laughing at me on the other side of the glass.
Are we purple now?
I don't know, man. Depends what polls you want to believe and what polls you want to read. Newsweek is now making this story national. We mentioned it the other day, but Newsweek put out a story yesterday that has all these Kansans in Northeast Johnson County and out in Lawrence, where 95.7 FM now comes in loud and clear, convincing themselves that Kamala Harris may be within striking distance of Donald Trump in this state. Yeah, Newsweek writing this, blowing this thing up. Do I believe it? No, not for a second. Donald Trump won the state of Kansas by 20 points back in 2016. He won it by 15 points back in 2020. If he wins it by anything less than 12 or 13, then Donald Trump is in for a very bad night coming up on Tuesday. But Newsweek sharing this poll conducted by Fort Hays State between September 26th and October 16th, and it found Trump only ahead of Kamala Harris by 5 points. The poll surveyed 645 adults, found 48% said they would vote for Donald Trump and 43% saying they would vote for Kamala Harris. Newsweek contacted both campaigns for comment via email. Other polls conducted in the state have put Trump ahead by as much as 16 points. While the poll is likely to be an outlier, writes Newsweek, it also could suggest that Trump's Republican base in the state, which no Democratic candidate has won since Lyndon Johnson 60 years ago, may be narrowing. He won Kansas, as they note, by 21 points in 16 and 15 points in 2020. So I'm sitting here as a Kansan and thinking to myself, this is comical. Now, listen, I get it. You drive around certain parts of town and you will be blown away by the Harris Walls signage. Even last night as I was trick-or-treating with the girls, some dads in the neighborhood are like, yeah, there's so many Kamala signs around the neighborhood. I said, guys, it just appears like there's a lot of signs because Trump voters don't put out Trump signs. They just, the diehard MAGA guys do, but the vast majority of Donald Trump voters do not put out Donald Trump signs. So it just appears like there's a lot of Kamala Harris signs because it's virtue signaling. That's the name of the game. It is virtue signaling. It's like having the "in this house we believe." It's a signal to each other that they're good people. Air quotes, of course. But that's what they're doing. And I know plenty of fine people who have those signs up in their yard, I will add. Misguided, but fine, right? I don't have any issue, just misguided on some major stuff. But it's not what you think it is, right? Because you see a bunch of Harris signs in certain parts of your neighborhood or certain part of somebody else's neighborhood. For every place there's not a sign, it's more likely than not that person could be voting for Donald Trump. They're just not putting signs up in their front yard. So this poll was shared yesterday on social media by state rep here in the Johnson County area, Cindy Holscher, and she writes on X, "It will come down to turnout. Kansans have a long history of picking reasonable, intelligent, principled candidates in elections. Kamala Harris fits those characteristics. Get your friends out to vote blue up and down the ballot." That is from Kansas Democratic State Rep Cindy Holscher, who is out of Overland Park. Well, I suppose that's true. Kansas has a long history of picking reasonable, intelligent, principled candidates in elections, like the guy they picked the last two presidential cycles. I would include him in that list. She may not, but it's kind of like a self-own to write a post that way, given who the state has voted for president in the last two election cycles. Now, this is interesting as well on a similar note. The Kansas City Star trying to drum up some Kamala enthusiasm. Both these stories came out yesterday. So do with this what you want. But hey, if Kansas wants to be a swing state, like, I don't think it is, and I don't think it's going to be, but it actually would be very good for business. I will totally admit that. Because then we'd suddenly have these presidential candidates stopping right here in Kansas. Can you imagine? Oh, we'll take them out to a little Q39 down the street here in Antioch and College. Oh, that would be fun. I'd have Mark give the tours. Oh, man, that would be a blast.
It would be a good time.
Oh, man. Oh, geez. We'd have a lot of fun doing that.
Have to shut it down, though.
Yeah.
Got to let us in front of the line.
That's right. We'd have to get in first. John could give him a little tour around town. Oh, man, that would be gold. It really would be. So this is from the Kansas City Star. More Kansans are donating to Kamala Harris than Donald Trump. Presidential elections in Kansas usually don't offer much in the way of suspense. The last Democrat to carry the state was Lyndon Johnson in 1964, and Republicans have enjoyed double-digit margins in each of the last 7 cycles. But the Star writes, by at least one metric, Kansans are coming up big for VP Harris. A recent Washington Post analysis breaking down online campaign contributions across the U.S. by zip code found that, like their neighbors in Missouri, more Kansans have donated to Harris than the former President Donald Trump. Rural residents more likely to contribute to Trump. Harris made up the difference, largely thanks to donors in Lawrence and the Kansas City metro area, as well as Wichita and some of its suburbs. Some Harris donors told the Star they believe the former California Attorney General and U.S. Senator has an outside shot at claiming Kansas's 6 electoral votes. Others said their financial contributions are the best way to impact a dead heat race that has seen both candidates pour the lion's share of their energy and resources into a handful of critical battleground states. So when the Kansas City Star was looking to interview donors to Kamala Harris, did they just interview themselves and their own staff? Is that what they did? Because they wouldn't have to go very far to find a lot of Kamala Harris donors. They really wouldn't have to leave their own building, or they wouldn't have to leave their own Zoom call, since they don't actually have a building in this town anymore. Or at least they're not in the old spot downtown. So these 2 stories dropped yesterday, and do I sit here and think to myself, oh boy, Kansas might be in play? No, I don't. Not for a second. Trump will win it comfortably. But it's telling that it just goes to show you that whatever media you want to consume with a couple of days left in this election cycle, you will believe whatever you want to believe. Because the Kansas City Star Newsweek will give Democrats the perception that, gosh, Kansas might be in play. Whoa, I mean, we're going to get 400 electoral votes. And then you look at people who are advocating for Donald Trump, and they will tell you Trump's going to win the popular vote. Donald Trump is going to get 350 electoral votes, and I don't believe that either. I believe we are heading down the home stretch of an election that is going to be very close, closer than either side cares to admit right now, and it is large part going to come down to base turnout. Neither side down the stretch here appears to be making a case to the potential undecided voter. What you're seeing right now is both sides, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, lean in and try to drum up enthusiasm for their base. That's the goal. As we sit here today and kick it off on a Friday morning on KCMO Talk Radio, 95.7 FM, and streaming on the KCMO Talk Radio app. Coming up on KCMO. Well, I saw this yesterday. Somebody is retiring from their job. Somebody who is one of the staples in their industry is retiring from their job. And on the way out the door, they had some thoughts on the upcoming election. And this person is not in the business of politics. And the last time we saw them, they were here in Kansas City. We'll tell you who that is and get to that comment next on KCMO. 6:19 as we get it going on a Friday morning on KCMO. We've got a busy morning ahead. Roger Marshall will be here at 7:30. We will also talk to Kevin Cork from Fox News at 8 o'clock. And Nick Haynes of Kansas City PBS will be our feature Friday in-studio guest at 9 a.m. So make sure you are streaming us if you're at the office then at KCMOTalkRadio.com or, of course, on the iHeart, TuneIn, or KCMO Talk Radio app. So Bob Costas hanging him up. Did you see that yesterday? I know that you guys were very upset about that. Bob Costas has decided to step away from the broadcast booth, retiring from Major League Baseball play-by-play duties after 4+ decades.
Uh-oh. I remember when he was the new guy. Hey, the new guy's good.
Yeah.
He did come on really strong when he started for a young guy. That was cool. Plus,
Yes.
We were doing the thing where it's a lot of former athletes, so here's a guy that just came in from the journalism side, I guess.
Yeah, and he was great on the NBA in the 90s. That's where I really remember him as the voice of those Chicago Bulls NBA Finals. He did a great job on the NBA on NBC. An outstanding all-time theme song, I will add.
Oh, yeah. Him and Marv Albert together were nice.
Oh, yes.
Nice combo.
Yes, absolutely. So Bob certainly had his day, but he is stepping away from the broadcast booth. And he's 72 years old, so he looks better than 72, to be honest. I thought he would have been maybe 68, 67, 68, but he's 72. So, yeah, it's time to hang it up. It's time to hand the reins off to a younger guy, probably a cheaper guy as well, let's be honest. So he goes on Dan Le Batard's show yesterday, and he's talking about his retirement. But Bob Costas could not help himself when he was asked about politics. And it wasn't the craziest of crazy answers. Like, Costas admitted that the Democratic Party has problems and that Kamala Harris as a candidate is far from perfect. So he's got some common sense. But I will play for you what Bob Costas had to say yesterday on Dan Le Batard's show on the day he announces he is hanging up the cleats in the broadcast booth.
Must be so strange to you to see what is happening a week before this election, the presidential standard disgraced in a way that, offends us every day, every sentence, every syllable.
And that's Dan Le Batard asking the question, who's just a total out there lunatic. He had on, I think it was Doug Imhoff a couple of weeks ago. I know some of the people indirectly who work on his show, and I'm just telling you, they're all the same.
Yeah, look, you asked, so I'm not going to dodge it, but Kamala Harris is not an ideal candidate and may have to grow into the job if she wins it in a way that she hasn't shown us yet. But this is not a political question for millions of us. This is a moral question and would be no matter who opposed Donald Trump. There is nothing wrong with being a Republican or a conservative. Nothing wrong with that. I read George Will on a regular basis and Peggy Noonan in the Wall Street Journal and people who like to have binary descriptions of people and label me left wing or whatever. I'm like Bill Maher, if you watch Bill Maher at all. I'm a center left guy, a classic liberal who is troubled by the distortions of leftism, which is different than liberalism. And some of that is an anchor around Kamala Harris's neck now, because she can't distance herself from some of the worst of it, even if she doesn't fully embrace it. Over the years, excesses on the left hand Fox News their talking points on a silver platter, or in this case, the Trump candidacy points. And I can understand people having serious misgivings about Biden's record, about the way the Dems kind of gaslit the public about Biden's fitness, both as a candidate and to have a second term as president. There are some policies that can't be defended. You cannot defend what has gone on for a long time at the border. You can certainly defend attempts, not just defend, but advocate attempts at reforming the police and justice. The justice system historically has been tilted against African Americans and other people of color. The justice system and policing can be reformed. But the idea that you'll just throw all that out the window and have cities beset by crime and social disorder, that's something that helps the Trump candidacy, even though that candidacy is about a man who is a liar, a lunatic, and an ignoramus. All those things. It's a moral question. And you have never seen, in my lifetime and maybe ever, a presidential candidate with so many of those who are rock-solid Republicans and conservatives, and who worked closely with him, and whose credibility and credentials cannot be questioned, saying the most important word, unfit. He is unfit to hold any position of public trust, let alone the presidency.
Well, in typical Bob Costas fashion, he took 3 minutes to say what he could have said in 1 minute, but that was his soliloquy on why he is not voting for Donald Trump and why he is voting for Kamala Harris. And I can appreciate a guy who admits his own side of the aisle has major flaws. I can respect that from Bob Costas. And he is right to note, as Bill Maher does note, that liberalism, classic liberalism, is different from leftism. But then he acts like there's nothing Kamala Harris can do about it. And that's where I would disagree. Kamala Harris could disavow all this stuff tomorrow. And most people that are like true diehard leftists are going to say, well, I'm still going to vote for her because I'm not voting for Trump, but they won't do it. They're trying to play this kind of song and dance little game, little footsie game with the far, far left because they don't want to upset them. And that is what is disingenuous.
Bob lost me when he compared Kamala to like your first-round quarterback. Got to grow into the job.
Yeah.
No,
Yes.
no, you don't. Brother, right there, you lost me.
Well, he got eviscerated for that line because
Okay.
You're right. Yeah, we're just going to grow to the gig like a third-string wide receiver.
Coming in to take over. You know. Right.
It's like Justin Ross for the Chiefs.
Right.
We're going to get him back up to speed, healthy again, and eventually he can make a big difference for the squad. No, that's not what we're doing here.
I
Okay.
couldn't help but think I was listening to a man whose checking account generates more interest than I earn in a year. So.
Yes. Well, you should have seen the library that he found himself in during the Zoom call he did with Dan Lebitard. But Bob Costas, who's hanging up his broadcasting cleats this year, his last series in his broadcasting career, at least for baseball, will have been the Royals-Yankees series. And unfortunately for Bob, this will be my last impression of Bob Costas behind the mic.
Line drive, base hit to center field. It was smothered out there. I don't know if it was caught.
It was caught.
Oh, my gosh. What a play. It's a good thing that Witt saw it before I did. He slammed on the brakes and went back.
I was listening to that game on my phone, driving back from Lynn County, Kansas, and their Sunflower Republican Club. And I'm like, I'm not looking at it because I'm listening to it as I'm driving up 69 Highway. And I'm like, all right, base hit, go Royals, beat the Yankees. And then, whoa, wait, it was caught. I'll never let you live that one down, Bob Costas. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Yep, that's what I thought too.
And was that game 3 or 4? I think it was 3, I want to say. Because then they ended up, of course, losing after that. But I'm like, Bob, you're killing us all here. Come on, buddy. Get it straight. Unbelievable. Coming up on KCMO, I have to get to this story and this ad that is rolling out on different digital platforms on behalf of one political party. And I can't play it after the kids get up and you're in the car. So I'll do it next. I had to get this next story in before the kids wake up. And before many of you are in the car, so I know, or at least in the car with the kids. Many of you are in the car right now, but you're in the car with the kids, you're driving them to school. I had to share this with you because a couple of days ago, we had this ad that was put out by a PAC, a Democratic PAC, looking to help Kamala Harris get elected. And it was really raunchy. It was an ad that was all about young men. And young men watching pornography. And the insinuation from this ad was that if you potentially think that you're going to vote for Kamala or vote for Donald Trump, well, you better be careful because Donald Trump is going to, and Republicans as a result, are going to stop you from watching pornography. Now, it would be great if pornography would be something that was not as big a part of today's culture, but unfortunately that's not the case. Either way, you look at situations right now and you say, who exactly is going to ban pornography? Who is running on this idea of banning pornography? No one as far as I can tell. But, hey, fear-mongering works, right, to some degree, I suppose. So now we've got this new ad that went viral yesterday that I started seeing pop up on my social media. And it's even worse. What this ad is, and what this ad shows, is two young people getting it on. And as they're getting it on, you will hear...
Wow,
yeah,
wow.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom.
They're getting it on, and then you hear the male say to the young female that his condom broke. And then he walks into his bathroom for Plan B, and out of nowhere, an old white male Republican made-up congressman, the same guy from the other ad, so it's the same group, shows up and starts talking to this guy in the bathroom. Here's what it sounded like.
Oh, God. The condom broke.
Oh, I Plan B in the bathroom.
Great. I'm gonna go get that now.
Sorry, you can't use that.
Who are you?
I'm your Republican congressman. Now that we're in charge, we ban Plan B.
No, you can't. You can't do this. I can't have a kid right now.
I won the last election, so it's my decision. Now let's get back in there so we can give her the news, Daddy.
What is that? First off, just to be very clear, Plan B pill is legal in all 50 states without age restrictions. Just so we're on the same page and we at least have the same laws and we know what's going on. Plan B is legal in all 50 states. It is not banned anywhere. And it's the same, whoever this made-up Republican congressman is.
He's good.
He's
I like the guy.
You like the guy? He's good. He's good at being creepy. I will say that.
No, he completely encapsulates what they want, but I think we can use that against him. I like the imagery.
He looks like Tommy Tuberville from Alabama, if you've seen this ad, and I will put it up on X at some point this morning at Pete Mundo.
Without seeing his face, his voice kind of sounds like Chuck Schumer, though. I don't know why.
Oh, yeah? Maybe
know
it's the way he says daddy at the end.
We can give her the news, Daddy.
Maybe that's it. I don't know.
I got a kick out of the way the guy screamed.
Yeah.
What a girl.
Well, he was playing a certain role, I suppose.
I suppose.
Yeah, you're right. So this is what they're doing to try to get to young men. This is their pitch to young men with days to go until the election. They want to basically tell you that you can't go out there, sleep with whoever you want, and on the outside chance something happens, your Republican congressman will ban Plan B. Just like the pornography ad, they're trying to reach young men through the prism of sex because that's all they think young men care about, apparently. They don't want to have relationships and get married and have kids and buy homes. They just want to get laid and not care about it. And God forbid something happens. Well, you know what? Oh, boy, better vote for the Democrats because they'll make sure my Plan B is still available.
Excellent point. Back it up to 30,000 feet. It's the same thing they use on the abortion ads for women. So they go to the women and say, I'm in charge now. I've decided. I'm the Republican. No. The majority of the people that voted for that guy made the decision.
That's true.
Not and so they do this for the whole Trump dictator thing, so that these Josh Hawley is this, and I've even heard on Jerry Nolte. I'm going, okay,
yeah,
crime. It's to demonize that person as some type of dictator tyrant.
Yes,
right, and to push the whole bigger narrative on the national level.
You're right. Absolutely right.
So, when they micro-focused on men, this is what we get.
This is what you get. I mean, this is what they think young men are. Just soulless creatures who want to go out there and have a bunch of sex. Because men, in their estimations, in their eyes, are permanently in this mode of adolescence. And sadly, that is true to some degree. I mean, there is not a movement, but it is happening where young men are growing up later than ever before. Now, we also know that boys' brains and young men's brains develop slower and later than young women's brains do. That's a fact. We know that. But at the same time, this notion that all guys care about are sitting around and either watching pornography, as one of their other ads suggested, or just having random hookups and hoping that Plan B is available if they, God forbid, need it, is really an insult to young men. It really characterizes young men and portrays young men in a negative light. If that's what you think is going to draw them to your candidate and to your political party, because that ad is not really geared towards women, right? That ad is geared towards men. It's the guy who goes into the bathroom, who's supposedly supposed to get the Plan B pill, and then he shrieks like a little girl when he sees the Republican congressman standing over his shoulder in the bathroom, and he says, "You can't use that. I'm your Republican congressman. I'm in charge." And then you wonder why they're struggling with young men. You wonder why young men aren't turning out for the Democratic Party and are moving further and further to the right with each passing year. It's because they don't understand what young men want, what they desire, and what they want to achieve. 913-408-7957. Oh, come on the text line. Pete, Plan B is still legal, ... for now. What's the platform? Please, somebody find me someone's platform at any level of politics who's talking about banning Plan B. Please find me that person.
He was one of the writers for the ad.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Very well done there, Mark. Very well done. Oh, my goodness. Although I will say, I may start using that drop at some point at the end of the show, or maybe this could be part of an intro on KCMO.
We can give her the news, Daddy.
Daddy. You want that to be your introduction every time you talk there, John? Let's give him the news, Daddy. Who's your daddy?
We can give her the news, Daddy.
Let's go. It's Mundo in the morning on KCMO Talk Radio.
We can give her the news, Daddy.
913-408-7957. It's 6:43 on a Friday morning. It's great to have you here on KCMO Talk Radio. Hope you had a great Halloween with the kids. I got to put up a photo of all of us yesterday. I had the face painted. The girls painted my face as Frankenstein. We had a good time. We got out, trick-or-treated. Weather was absolutely perfect for Halloween last night. So hopefully you had a great night. Neighborhood was busy. And on top of that, what you've got going on right now is a tenant strike happening in Kansas City. We'll get you the latest on that coming up. Plus your calls at 913-408-7957. 6:49. Happy Friday. We have made it to the end of the week on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. Hope you had a happy Halloween last night. Our neighborhood was popping as we were trick-or-treating with the girls, handing out candy and the whole thing. And yesterday, I saw this new ad that was released by a Democratic PAC group that shows and portrays two young individuals sleeping together. When then the male's condom breaks, he tries to get Plan B, and whoa, look at what happens here. Somebody shows up in the bathroom with him.
Oh, God. The condom broke.
Oh, I have Plan B in the bathroom.
Great. I'm gonna go get that now.
Sorry, you can't use that.
Who are you?
I'm your Republican congressman. Now that we're in charge, we ban Plan B.
No, you can't. You can't do this. I can't have a kid right now.
I won the last election, so it's my decision. Now let's get back in there so we can give her the news, Daddy.
Someone said on the text line that sounds like Michael Douglas at the end, and I thought, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
It does sound like Michael Douglas. But it's
Read is good, bud.
Yes. But that just sounds so whacked out. You have to be living under a rock to believe that. No one's running on that. Plan B is legal in all 50 states. And by the way, for any age, I will add as well, it's absurd. But it's their pitch to young men. Hey, if you vote for the other guys, you might not be able to have all the, random sex that you want, and that wouldn't be good for you because then you could be a daddy.
We can give her the news.
Give her the news, Daddy. Jared's in Odessa. You're on KCMO. Hey, Jared.
Hey, Pete.
What's going on, man?
Yeah, I had a comment. So the men that are wanting to take that pill or wanting their woman to take that pill are not necessarily going to be the same people that they're really talking to or trying to get a hold of. I mean, the they're not going to care. Like, the ones that are sleeping around and just want to be able to have sex without any type of thing, they're not the ones that are taking the pill. The women are. It's just showing how much they're just disconnected from the entire voter base, is because the ones that they're trying to quote-unquote reach aren't going to care whether the morning after pill is available for them in the first place. The ones that are going to care whether that pill is available are going to go out and research that this is a bunch of nonsense in the first place.
Well, yes,
so
they're definitely
they're totally disconnected.
Yes, I see what you're saying. They're going for the voter who literally doesn't know what's going on. But here's what I wonder, based on your comments there, Jared. I wonder if what they're really doing is they're trying to sow some doubt into the minds of young male voters who are low propensity voters who typically might not show up to the polls, but they like Trump. They may want to show up for Trump, but seeing an ad like this just makes them say, you know what, I'm just going to stay home. It's not even about getting them to vote the other way. It's just about kind of planting that seed that makes them say, well, I don't know what's going on, so I just won't go vote. I'll just stay home.
Yeah, I see your point there.
And that's what I wonder if and I just came to that conclusion based on your commentary. So good work there, Jared. I appreciate it, man. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Let's go to Peggy. She's in St. Joe at 913-408-7957. Hey, Peggy, go ahead. Good morning.
Good morning. I just had a comment about the Mark Cuban, that Trump doesn't surround himself with any intelligent women.
Okay.
I'd like to know if anyone out there can find any intelligent men surrounding Kamala. Well, let's leave sex out of it. The Democrats won't, but I will. Is there any intelligent life anywhere around her? That's all I got.
All right. Well, I would say there is. I think there's plenty of intelligent men around Kamala Harris who are very much misguided. I mean, say what you want about Barack Obama. The guy's very bright, right? But we'll get to that topic here later on in the show. Mike's in Kansas City. What's up, Mike?
Yeah, going back to stereotype. They're trying to stereotype men again. The masses are not as a stereotype homogenous like the elites think we are. And, it goes back in every situation, and again, this is what I see on it. And I see where you're saying, sowing a seed of doubt on some people. But again, it's going into the stereotype that, on men.
It
and
is.
Again, the other thing is, most of the men for Kamala are incels anyway. They'll never hook up with a real live woman. So, what do they need Plan B for? Talk about stereotypes. I know I'm a hypocrite.
Yeah, exactly right. Way to go, Mike. At least you called yourself out, right? At least you came to the conclusion by calling yourself out. So you get an A+ on that. You called yourself out for stereotyping after calling out stereotypes. So nice job there. Nice job. You came around there, Mike. Well done there, buddy.
Mike would approve of that other ad then. Not the Plan B one, but the other one.
Yes. Exactly right. So I was literally going to say that. I'm like, Mike, you're just stereotyping after saying they need to stop stereotyping people. But I will note this. It's very interesting how Donald Trump's message and pitch, just in general, doesn't really change based on where he's doing a rally or who he's talking to. But you see a very specific approach and, you see a very different approach from the Kamala Harris team when they're targeting white males, black males, Latinos. They have like these different plans and rollouts for each subset of people. And I do believe that is pretty telling when I think we're far more alike than we are different. Like, for the most part, we all want the same thing. How we end up getting to that place, obviously, can be very different, and that's where we can obviously differ on the left and the right in terms of how we get there. But I do genuinely believe, and I know I'm in the minority when I say this, and most people who do what I do for a living don't say this. They have reasons for not wanting to say this. But I genuinely sit here and believe that we are more alike than we are different. And that people just have different ideas on how to get to the place that we all want to get to, which is getting prices back under control, making housing affordable. People want to buy homes in today's climate. They feel like they can't afford it. They want a good job. They want a decent paying job. Like, we want the same stuff. How we get there is obviously the big sticking point right now. But I don't think for the most part it's like, well, black men want this and white guys want that and Latino people want this. No, we all want the same stuff. It's how we're built. Coming up on KCMO Talk Radio, the growing rent stakes in Kansas City and the rent strike, which crosses the 30-day mark. What does it mean moving forward? We'll get to it next on KCMO Talk Radio, 95.7 FM. What's with all the people who apparently enjoyed their time at Diddy parties now coming out for Kamala Harris? Have you seen this over the last couple of days? Last night you had Jennifer Lopez. I know, we were all waiting for the big celebrity endorsements to start rolling in. You were just on the fence. You were holding your vote. You were waiting and waiting and waiting for the right celebrity to come out and tell you what to do. Like, I don't think any of this stuff matters, to be very clear. We are not in that kind of space anymore. It's baked into the cake that Hollywood and celebrities are going to, for the most part, come out and endorse whoever the Democrat is. So I don't believe any of this moves the needle. But it still is interesting to me when the celebrities themselves do it, right? And they act like this is, whoa, I didn't think that Jennifer Lopez would come out on behalf of Kamala Harris. Well, that's what she did yesterday in Nevada. And, of course, what did she play up as she was fighting back tears? Jokes from insult comics.
He has consistently worked to divide us. At Madison Square Garden, he reminded us who he really is and how he really feels. It wasn't just Puerto Ricans that were offended that day, okay? It was every Latino in this country. It was humanity and anyone of decent character. I'm a lover, okay? You guys know that about me. I'm a lover. I am not a fighter. I am not here to trash anyone or bring them down. I know what that can feel like, and I wouldn't do it to my worst enemy. Or even when facing the biggest adversary I think America has internally ever had.
Whoa.
But over Kamala Harris's entire career, she has proven to us who she is. A proud daughter and son of Puerto Rico. I am Puerto Rican. Soy Boricua carajo. And yes, I was born here, and we are Americans. I am a mother. I am a sister. I am an actor and an entertainer, and I like Hollywood endings. I like when the good guy, or in this case, the good girl wins.
I feel like there's just two white dudes for Harris in the background who are going, whoa, woo.
So is it cultural appropriation when she played Selena?
Yeah.
Now that I'm thinking about all this.
Well,
here's the thing. She's such an attention hound. Jennifer Aniston's already spoken out, right? We've heard from Taylor, Beyonce, Billie Eilish.
I know.
You're getting left out, J-Lo.
I know.
From the block.
J-Lo, who had to cancel her tour, right? Because there wasn't enough demand for her tickets, as I recall, over the summer. Or maybe it was tied to all the Diddy stuff. I don't know. But either way, it's like, people, Julia Roberts, Jennifer Lopez. Is this the 2000 election or is this 2024? Like, who exactly are we going for here with these votes?
Waiting on Tiffany and Debbie Gibson.
I mean, you got Clooney, you got all these people whose heydays is 25 years in the past. I know because, my folks can get like this where my dad acts like 1978 was 20 years ago. It's like, no, that was like 45 years ago now. So
you remember?
No. Wasn't alive.
I was thinking when you said I could do the Boomer Tour and we were talking about the presidential candidates in town, I'd be like, yeah, that used to be Milgram's and that was a Walmart.
And then we had LeBron James come out with his endorsement yesterday. So all these kind of strange last-minute endorsements for Kamala Harris just out of left field that are not going to move the needle like they think they will. Even Chris Hayes of MSNBC is saying this about LeBron.
All right, so we have now added to the roster of megastars in American public life who have endorsed Kamala Harris. Obviously, Taylor Swift, Beyonce, and now LeBron James, probably one of the top 3 to 5 biggest sports stars in the entire world and in the country. And it's pretty striking. Came out on Twitter basically saying, of course I'm voting for Kamala Harris, which I would have assumed he was. But it's striking because earlier generations of athletes, particularly star basketball players, most notably Michael Jordan, who famously said Republicans buy sneakers too, did not use their kind of fame to endorse political candidates, but James has been much more outspoken. And again, I think in this election, which we all expect to be very close, like every little bit of the margins helps. I mean, Bad Bunny making the endorsement that he did a few days ago. Do these endorsements move like tens of thousands of votes? Probably not, but could they move 500 in a swing state? Could that be the margin? Possibly.
If there are 500 people waiting on LeBron James, man, I've got news for him. I'll just leave it at that.